So, and what I said was, you are not your circumstance, and there is always tomorrow to reset. Unfortunately, we are in a space today where we're struggling, right? So many of us are struggling mentally, and we are blaming ourselves for the things that have happened. And if I could say nothing else, it is truly, you are not your circumstance. And so I want you to pick yourself back up and reset. There's always that next minute, that next hour, that tomorrow. And knowing that you reset and you do it again. And does that mean that it's going to be easy? God didn't promise that it was going to be easy, right? But there are always lessons in the things that we go through. It's a matter of what lesson will you pull out of it. And so be okay with all of the things, the circumstances that you've been through, but know that that does not define the very person that you are, right? We've all done things that we are not necessarily proud of, but I always say, God makes no mistakes, and I have no regrets. I just have learning moments.
You're listening to Powerful, a podcast that will provide you with solutions to ignite your superpowers, identify your limiting habits, and help you be more authentic. Hi, I'm your host, Bridget Brown Jackson. The episodes are cultivated with you in mind and teach us how to be intentionally powerful. It is declared that you are ordained for it. Welcome back to another episode of Powerful. Thank you so much for joining Powerful. Okay, so you all know my favorite word. I am excited. I'm excited because we have a guest with us today. When I say she is powerful, oh, you better believe a powerful testimony, a powerful coach, powerful outcomes. All right. So today we're going to be talking about some things and we're going to get down to it. We might even help you out if you've ever had some trauma in your life. All right. I got a trauma-informed coach in the building, in the house for you today here on Powerful. We'll be right back though. Give me one moment. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Hey lady, so you've had success. You got it going on, but you still know there's something missing. You know so much more. You want so much more. So stop. Get the help and the support that you need. Stop thinking about it and just be about it. You tried it your way. Now get a coach. Go to simplytomorrow.com. That's simplytomorrow.com. All right. Powerful. Okay. So you know the drill. If you are not new to this platform, I need you to go get your paper, get your pencil, pull out your phone, get your notepad ready, pull out the notes inside your iPad, your iPhone, whatever. If you're on an Android, whatever, get that memo out so you can start taking some notes. I know that our guest is going to be dropping some serious knowledge for us. In addition to that, I want to make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if this is your first time ever watching a podcast, welcome to the family. Welcome. You are powerful. All right. So we're going to move out of your way because I know you came today to hear some dynamite tips from our special guest. As I said, she is a trauma-informed coach. It is not just any old body. She happens to be a colleague. And I absolutely love her. Y'all know I love to bring powerful people. So we got Latisha B. Russell in the house. Come on, my friend. Tell them a little bit more about you.
Hey, y'all. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, Bridget, for having me. I am Latisha B. Russell, trauma-informed coach, speaker, and author. And so we're going to get into the thing, right? But we're going to talk a little bit about just the things that I've overcome. And so the goal is when you all hear my story, my journey, while yours might not be mine, you will find that theme weaved in, right? And so at the end of the day, I'm going to always say, but we're still standing. And so regardless of what you've been through, we're going to talk about that today.
All right. You said we still standing.
Still standing.
Girl, I can tell you about some we still standing stories.
Yeah.
And we're going to unpack this because we have a lot of similarities in our stories together. But I love what you just said. We are still standing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know what? I got this from my friend Heather Bird. I just got to do a hum right now. Because we're about to really talk. And sometimes some things that we say might be deep. And so we want to tell people right now, you want to get them ready for having the conversation because the whole goal is empowerment, at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we are so very excited. So the first thing I want to ask you about is what actually made you go on the journey of being a trauma informed coach?
Easy. And I say easy, but I vowed to be the person that I was looking for when I was in the midst of my storm, right? And so when I went through it and trying to come out of it, I had no idea how. And if I'm being really honest, I was looking for somebody that looked like me that can help me navigate it. And I couldn't. But I had to ask myself, is it because I wasn't really doing the work to figure out how to and where does this person reside? Or was it that I was so afraid that if I didn't find that person, that I'm going to have to kind of relive and re-talk about it each and every time? So I really did. I went down this journey because I was tired of living in silence. And I say, let's normalize being able to talk about these things, right? And I wanted to just be that person that I was looking for when I was in the midst of my valley.
Yeah, yeah. And I think sometimes we have not totally, we've done better.
Yeah.
I don't know, your era, because, we look
Yeah.
good. So our age do
we,
not
we,
show on
we
our
do.
faces.
We do. Right,
But
right. Because
I,
if I bust out with this hot flash, that's why I'm fanning.
me too, girl. But we come from the generation that, a lot of things were in silent. And so
Yes.
thank God we have platforms that we can talk
Mm,
more now. And so
yeah.
can you unpack that a little bit when you say we need to normalize,
Yeah.
these conversations?
You know, just a little bit. I come from a background just riddled with trauma, right? And my mom from dealing with, unfortunately, domestic violence. And I always say, right, we've all overcome something. The question is, what is that something? And mine was trauma. And growing up in that abusive household, I always say that really set the trajectory of my life and what I would do. And so seeing my mom abused, I began dating at a very young age. And when I say young, it was 12th grade, sixth grade, 12 years old. And I found myself in abusive relationships, both physically, mentally, emotionally. And I didn't know what love was, right? I grew up fatherless. And so I didn't have that first love as a parent that would, for someone to be able to give that to me. And so I was searching for it. And so I was searching for that my entire life. And with that, I attracted the people that I grew up around, which was that father that was abusive, that second husband of my mom's that was abusive. And so I dealt with the sexual abuse at the hands of my mom's second husband. I began kind of running away from telling my mom what had happened to me. And so as a result of that, I started looking for love in all the wrong places. And so I began dating the bad boy, right? At a young age. And that resulted in me being physically abused, domestic violence. But I continued to go down that path because that was all I knew. And it wasn't until after I found myself kind of spiraling out, we have a tendency, we as women many times have a tendency of saying, I'm okay, right? I'm okay. I'm going to just deal with it. And so you saw this happy go lucky woman. You saw this cheerful woman that, like, I had my stuff together. But behind closed doors, I had never dealt with the things that had happened to me. And I hit what my rock bottom was. And I remember sitting on the floor. I had moved from Colorado to Atlanta. And I never told my family that I had moved here for this man that was no good, that I was following behind. And I shared with them that I was moving here for a job, right? And got here. It was a physically abusive relationship that I was in. And I was so tired, but I didn't know how to say enough is enough. So instead, I kept going back, right? It was like that double dutch. How we gonna do this today? We gonna do it. And finally, I remember sitting on my living room floor, suicide note written, gun in hand, and I was ready to end it, right? Because I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to have to face it anymore, but I didn't know how to climb out of it. Nobody taught me how to climb out of it.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I realized that, you know what, I want to live more than I want to die. And I need to do this thing differently, right? So that was just a snippet of just some of the things that I had to deal with.
Yeah. And so people that are listening,
Yeah.
if you are that woman that is dealing
Yeah.
with things that, whether you've moved past it, but
Yeah.
it's still traumatizing you,
Yeah.
or if you're in it right now,
Yeah.
one of the things we want to make sure you do is reach out to somebody and sit with them.
Absolutely.
I love you, Latisha, sharing that story because, again, I said we have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
I talk about in my book, Powerful Growing You and Unlock Your Purpose, my first chapter,
Mhm.
I talk about the fact that I was shaking that bottle like
Yeah.
it was a tambourine, and I
Yeah.
let every last one of those items go down my throat.
Mm.
But I had enough sense.
Yeah.
After I did it, I picked up the phone and called my mom. And
Yeah.
she heard something in my voice. I didn't tell her what I did.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't cry, didn't do anything, but she heard something in my voice. And so I'm thankful for the
Yeah.
unction of God to have me pick up that phone and to call.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Because what was so crazy is I had children. I had 2 children,
Mm.
during this time. And so, I look back all the time now and say, what would their life be like? And then I
Yeah.
had 2 children after that. And I
Man.
have thousands of children through my education that I've been able to bless. And so you
Absolutely.
said that before, our impact, our trauma, and the things that we go through, look how we can do it. I think somebody once said, your mess will be your message.
Your message.
So,
Absolutely. And your
girl,
will be your message.
so you
Absolutely.
said that. So one of the things that we talked about in the pre-interview was
Yeah.
limitations. And so you
Mhm.
unpacked a little bit of it, but you talked about some other limitations that
Yeah.
held you back. Will you share with us what were some of those things that held you back? And then how did you use them to catapult you forward?
Man. Along with overcoming that physical and the mental emotional trauma, being told by my father, right? That man, I remember I said I was a fatherless child, but being told by him that I wouldn't amount to anything, right? And so I use that as my fuel. And so to this day, I don't say I can't do. No, I'm going to show you better than I'm going to tell you. And so I hear that voice in my head often, but it's not in this manner in which, oh my goodness, I'm going to fold and I can't do it. Instead, I use that to fuel, and I use that so that when people think I can't, let me go ahead and turn that around until I can. And so I use that to catapult me. The other thing is I'm a successful business owner, right? And I do that. I use those moments of opportunities to impact other people that might be dealing with this same thing. And so, like I said in the beginning, my story might not be your story, but you will find things and pieces and themes within it that you can say, you know what, I can still do it. And
Yeah.
absolutely you can.
Yes. That people can
Yeah.
connect with,
Yes,
all those connections. When you hear my story, we might not have the same thing, but
absolutely.
there's a message in there. That's
Yeah, yeah.
Because girl, when you said that, and even when I read that, when we were sharing some things again,
Yes.
pre-interview, girl, I said, Lord, if I didn't have people in my family that, it wasn't my dad. My dad has always been one of my biggest cheerleaders,
Yeah.
but I had other family members. I had an uncle,
Yeah.
and I loved him to death. And I didn't even take it now that I'm, fully grown and a grandmother and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I understood,
Yeah.
where he was coming from. He didn't understand and know any better.
Yeah.
But told me I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. And so I did go around thinking that I couldn't until I got in college, and I was like, I'm going to prove to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove. So I'm like you, I got that. I'm going to show you better than
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Better than I'm telling you. And I always say the minute you shed light on your truth is when you gain your power back, right? So shed light on it. Don't run from it. Run through it. That way you can be like, all right, I got this, right? I can do this.
Oh, I love it. That was a great tip. So
Yeah.
let's get into some other tips.
I jumped ahead.
You dropped that nugget. Go ahead, drop that nugget. We love to talk about that.
Yes.
But you've also talked about people understanding that they are not their circumstance.
So, and what I said was, you are not your circumstance, and there is always tomorrow to reset. Unfortunately, we are in a space today where we're struggling, right? So many of us are struggling mentally, and we are blaming ourselves for the things that have happened. And if I could say nothing else, it is truly, you are not your circumstance. And so I want you to pick yourself back up and reset. There's always that next minute, that next hour, that tomorrow, and knowing that you reset and you do it again. And does that mean that it's going to be easy. God didn't promise that it was going to be easy, right? But there are always lessons in the things that we go through. It's a matter of what lesson will you pull out of it. And so be okay with all of the things, the circumstances that you've been through, but know that that does not define the very person that you are, right? We've all done things that we are not necessarily proud of. But I always say, God makes no mistakes. And I have no regrets. I just have learning moments.
I love that. And I think some people avoid that and run from that and hide from that. I know I did. I didn't like failure. I didn't like those moments. But the older I get, and you said earlier, being a business owner, being the CEO of your company, when you are that, you love those moments because again, that's what's going to get you to that successful moment.
Absolutely.
The successes don't make more successes. Those failures do. And so what would you share with somebody that is going through all of that? And maybe maybe they're a leader. Maybe they're the CEO of their company. Maybe they're doing a 9-to-5 and trying to run their little side hustle that they want to be a full. What would you share with them about unpacking their past traumas?
You know, and I want to go back really quick just to say, make no mistake. You hear me talking today, but it was a process, right? It was a process to get here. And it was an ugly process, right? It was a hard process. And so what I would say to you is take time for you. Don't feel as if you have to always surround yourself around people in order for you to get on the other side of it. It's going to take those moments by yourself. It's going to take those conversations and talks by yourself. And it's going to take those affirmations of the things that you can do. Because what's going to happen is if you don't address those things and go through it head on, it's going to creep up on you and you're going to be like, hold up, wait a minute, but I got all this stuff going on for me that's amazing. And where did this come from? You never sat down and took time to date yourself and to learn what you enjoy doing, right? You didn't take time to learn what your triggers were in order for you to heal from those things. And so I just simply challenge you to do that.
Yeah, girl, I love that. You just got me stirred up with that because when I went through my divorce, I've been blessed to be married now to my second husband. We're going on 14 years and I'm excited. He just buy everything. But you know, at one point I was really broken. And at one point I was devastated. You know what I had to do when you just said date yourself. I hurt when my children had to go with my ex for their visitation time. And I was like, what do I do? Because my whole identity was wrapped up in being their mother. And, you know, I started going out with myself. And I found it easier and easier every time. And so now I can do that. I can do that on the drop of a dime. I have a wonderful relationship right now. But when I need that Bridget time, I'm okay with going to the movie by myself. I'm okay with driving somewhere, going and sitting in a restaurant with me, myself, I want to talk about that a little bit more, like really embracing.
You do.
Loving yourself.
Yeah, you do. So, you know, I have a 6 and an 8-year-old. And for me now, it is truly what will they see? And it's important for me to be the example so that I had to break the cycle, right? I had to. My mom relied on a man. But that was all she knew, right? I can't blame. That's all she knew. Nobody taught her differently. So for me, it was about breaking the cycle. And I need them to see that, you know, mommy can go out and hang out and, you know, do her and daddy can go and do the same, because I want them to have their own identity. And I always say, I allow my kids, it was unheard of when I was growing up, but I allow my kids to ask me why. And I do that, right? When my mother would be like, did you say you asked me why? So I'm clutching my pearls as I'm saying this. But I allow them to ask me why so that I can tell you why I'm saying it. Because guess what? If I don't tell you, they're going to try and figure it out on their own. And they're going to be into something that all I had to do was merely explain. And so I allow them that opportunity to say, well, why, mommy? And I tell you why, right? I give you that. And then the other thing that I do as a mom that, you know, unfortunately, it's probably because of the trauma that I've dealt with, but I say, how am I doing today? We got to be okay with asking people, how am I doing today? That doesn't mean you are relying on their feedback in order for you to move, right? But sometimes it allows us to check ourselves.
Yes.
Because I love my husband, and he'd be like, I'm gonna need you not to treat me like you treat the folks at work. Like this ain't HR, this ain't you coaching. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Right. So it's that check and balance for me. Okay, I'm good today. Gotcha. So in those moments, be okay with asking yourself, how am I doing today? Right. Notice I said asking, how am I doing today? Do a check-in.
Yeah. Yeah, girl, this is so good. Oh my God. Wait a minute. Let me just get my composure because you got me really, really excited right now. When you started talking about the children, my daughter, my oldest daughter, I will say this proudly. My oldest daughter is about to be, Lord, I was about to say, what is she about to be? Okay, she just turned 35. She's about to be 36. I have to do like 1, 2, 3, 4 in my head. She's about to be 36 years old. And one of the things that she loves to talk about and she shares with other people, she says, my mom always let us express ourselves.
Yes.
And I did. Yes. I really, really did. Because again, I came from that generation of be seen and not heard.
Absolutely.
Stay in a child's place.
Yep.
I told them that. Now listen, you won't disrespect me.
Yes.
You do not get to go toe to toe and say nothing with me. But if you upset with me, go in your bedroom, close that door, grab that pillow, yell, scream, do whatever you got to do, but get those emotions out. And so I always allowed them to have that. And so when you were talking about that piece, for us as adults, sometimes we're showing up, and let me just go here. You're in the HR space.
Yes, I am.
So I know you know some of the stories. So I have hired in my career over 200 people. I've interviewed over 500 during my career. Yes. So I've seen all kinds of stories, and forgive me if you one of the people, but if you one of the people listening, you probably wasn't one of the cuckoo dudes. Right. We had some crazy stories, right? So some of this stuff I can't even make up. If we made a story, people are like, what? Is people asking you to do that? Anyways, what I'm saying is sometimes people come to the workplace and their 6-year-old self is showing up. Their 8-year-old broken self is showing up. Their 12-year-old wounded, traumatized self is showing up. And then people like you have to deal with them. So I wasn't even going here, but you brought this up, so we got to tap into this. People understanding emotional intelligence.
Yes.
You said it. You said you allow your children to do. So that self-awareness.
Absolutely.
Them asking those questions and them asking you or telling you how you did today. Yes. Self-regulation.
Absolutely.
You get to self-regulate because of the fact that you deal with them. Social skills you're teaching them.
Absolutely.
Motivation on how to, again, be in tune with your emotions.
Yes.
Man, oh man, oh man. Come on.
What we say,
I'm gonna let you talk about this now.
What we say, it starts what? I mean, you can't start doing this when your kid's 12 years old and thinking you gotta start at a young age. And so many times, girl, I know we off tracks now. We ain't even talking. But what I will say was we have to be comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations.
Yes.
Right? Because so many times we're like, oh, I can take it. Just tell me I got thick skin, but can you? And so I need y'all to be real comfortable. So when you ask for somebody's feedback, let's stop playing double dutch and trying to say, all right, I'm ready to jump in so I can give you my feedback. I want to tell you no. Because many times that's how we were raised. That doesn't mean you got to do the same.
Yes.
So be honest with yourself in having those conversations. And be comfortable with saying, no, not today, right? I'm going to now do something different than what I've been doing so that I can get different results. We got to start teaching them early.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And again, going back and healing ourselves. And so like being able to spend that time and getting in the presence, getting somebody like you, getting a coach to help them through that piece, going and getting a therapist if it's deeper than that, and it's not at the coach level, and you really, really got to do some stuff. Go get you therapy, but do the work because you want your best self to show up.
Absolutely. You said it, Bridget. Do the work, and that's the hardest part. Sometimes is we don't want to do the work. It's scary.
Yeah,
it is scary to sit back and say, "Man, I got to shed light on these things that I never addressed." But you got to do it, right? You attract the things that you don't want to face and attract or address, those are the type of people that you attract, right? We want amazing things to come to y'all, right? Yeah. So do the work, put in the work.
Do the work. We want amazing stuff. You just said it. When you just said that, it made me think of the old saying that people say, hurting people hurt.
Hurt people. Hurting people hurt people. Yeah. Broken people break people.
Yeah. Again, we deal with abuse. We're going to gravitate to abuse. Yeah. Yes. And then you wonder why people are drawn to you because you're carrying that around. It's a magnet.
Yeah.
And so you want magnet for healthy and whole. And so that's where they can, get you. Yeah. So as we get ready to close on out and go on out, what's some last little tidbits that you would like that lady that is listening to this understand to know?
Yeah. So I'll reiterate, right? You are not your circumstance. Your circumstance, or, what I will say is your healing is not dependable on other people's approval. The other thing that I will say is forgiving. This is the one thing that so many times we struggle with is forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's for you to move forward. And so being able to simply forgive you and love you and take the time for you, I encourage you to do that. And then the last thing I'm going to say is, what is it costing you not to do that? I'm Latisha B. Russell, trauma-informed coach, speaker, author. Y'all can find me on all things Latisha B. Russell. Instagram, Latisha B. Russell. Facebook, although I keep hearing Facebook is for older. Look, call it what it is. I'm still on Facebook and LinkedIn. Latisha B. Russell.
No, that's right. I know that's right. Thanks, sis, so much for being here. Oh my God. I hope people really had their notepads out and they were writing and taking that. Sis, if you're listening to this and you know this message was for you, I need you to do 3 things. I need you to like, I need you to share, and I need you to subscribe. And I need you to go ahead and do that 4th thing. I need you to go to bridgetbrownjackson.com/podcast and leave a comment, leave a review so we can let my girl know how well she did. She unpacked this for us. So she didn't get that at all. So we really need people to do that. So again, I thank you so much. I appreciate you. Okay. And people don't even have to remember all of that stuff. They don't even have to spell your name. All they have to do is go down in the show notes where they can get all of that information. And it's clickable.
Yes.
Just click it and follow it. That's all you have to do. So thank you so much for being our guest today. I know this blessed me. I'm going to go back and listen to it over and over because there are a lot of areas that I have healed, but there's still some areas that I always can grow and develop in. Anytime I hear myself, with my grown kids, when they was little, I let them say some stuff. Now they looking at them. So you'll be on my shoulder. I'll be like, okay. Like, tell me how my day was. Tell me.
Right. How did I do today?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So Ken, thank you so much for being here and gracing us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And for you, powerful, remember always, coach me and I learn, challenge me and I grow, believe in me and I win. You are a winner.